Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly focused on yourself? Not on what others are doing, not on their opinions, their success, or their approval. Just you, your growth, your dreams, your peace. Most people spend their lives looking outward, comparing, explaining, proving, and chasing. But what if I told you that everything changes the moment you stop? What if the real breakthrough happens when you shift your focus inward and stay silent? Stay with me until the end of this video and you'll discover why focusing on yourself is the most powerful decision you will ever make, why most people stay stuck. The truth is, most people are trapped in a cycle. They wake up, scroll through their phones, and instantly compare their lives to others. They overthink every action, worrying about what people might say. They feel the need to explain themselves, to prove they are worthy, to defend their choices. And in doing so, they waste precious energy that could be used for self-growth. Why do people do this? Because deep down, they are programmed to seek validation. Human psychology tells us that from an early age, we learn to measure ourselves based on others. We want approval, we want recognition, we want to be liked. But here's the harsh truth. Seeking external validation is the fastest way to lose yourself. The more you focus on others, the less you focus on your own power. And the less you focus on yourself, the further you drift from the life you are meant to live. The power of silence and self-focus. Imagine this. You walk into a room, and instead of trying to impress anyone, you observe. You listen, you stay silent, you focus on your energy. What happens? You command attention without saying a word, because confidence isn't loud, it's quiet. Power isn't in words, it's in presence. When you stop talking and start doing, people notice. When you stop explaining and start growing, the world reacts. But here's the secret. You don't need their reaction. You don't need their approval. The moment you stop seeking it, you become unstoppable. Silence forces people to wonder. It makes them curious. It shifts their focus to you, even when you're not trying. And most importantly, it allows you to hear the only voice that truly matters, your own. Why most people can't handle it, let me warn you. When you start focusing on yourself and staying silent, people won't understand. Some will say you've changed. Some will think you're distant. Some will even try to pull you back into old habits. That's because most people fear growth. When they see you evolving, they feel left behind. But here's what you must remember. You owe no one an explanation. You owe no one your energy. You are not responsible for their comfort. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to grow, to evolve, to become who you were meant to be. Your reward for watching until the end. By the time you reach the end of this video, you will understand a truth that most people never realize. The greatest power you have is your ability to focus inward, to build in silence, to grow without permission. And when you do that, everything around you starts to shift. Most people don't even realize they're trapped. They wake up every day, scrolling through other people's lives, drowning in noise, chasing approval that never truly satisfies. They are constantly looking outward. Who's watching? Who's judging? Who's ahead? Who's behind? But here's the harsh truth. The more you focus on others, the more you lose yourself. Distractions are everywhere. Social media, gossip, opinions, drama. It all pulls you in, keeping your mind occupied with things that don't help you grow. And the worst part, it feels normal. It feels like you're just keeping up with the world. But in reality, you are wasting the most valuable thing you have, your focus. Your energy is like currency. Every thought you give to someone else is energy taken away from yourself. Every second spent worrying about what others are doing is a second lost in building your own success. And most people don't even realize they are bleeding energy into things that don't serve them. Why people chase distractions, human psychology is wired for connection. From childhood, people are taught to fit in, to be accepted, to be part of the group. That's why it feels natural to focus on what others think. It's why people crave attention, why they overshare, why they constantly seek validation. But here's what most people don't understand. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't care, you give away power. Every time you react to negativity, you let someone else control your emotions. Every time you compare your journey to someone else's, you tell yourself that your own path isn't enough. And this is how people stay stuck. Not because they lack potential, not because they aren't capable, but because they are pouring their energy into everything except themselves. How to break free from the distraction trap. The first step to reclaiming your power is awareness. You must recognize what is stealing your focus. Look at your daily habits. How much time do you spend checking your phone? How often do you get caught in meaningless conversations? How many times do you feel the urge to prove something to someone else? Once you see the distractions for what they are, time wasters, energy drainers, confidence killers, you can start cutting them out. You don't owe anyone your attention. You don't have to explain your choices. The moment you choose to disengage from the noise, you take back control. Here's the truth. The most successful people in the world are not the loudest. They are the most focused. They are not chasing approval. They are chasing purpose. And that requires silence. That requires discipline. That requires stepping away from the distractions and turning all that energy inward. The psychological shift that changes everything. When you stop reacting to every little thing, something incredible happens. Your mind clears. Your energy shifts. You stop feeling drained because you are no longer giving away your power to meaningless things. And people notice. They sense your shift. They feel your detachment. Suddenly, the ones who used to control you with their opinions start to wonder why you're so unbothered. The ones who expected a reaction from you are left in silence. And silence is powerful, because when you no longer seek validation, you become untouchable. You don't need to announce your growth. You don't need to explain your silence. True power is moving in a way that speaks for itself. And the moment you break free from distractions and turn your focus inward, life starts to move in your favor. You stop chasing, and opportunities start chasing you. You stop explaining, and people start respecting you. You stop reacting, and suddenly you hold all the power. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves to know your thoughts, your plans, your struggles, or your victories. The truth is, the more you protect your energy, the more powerful you become. Most people give away their energy without even realizing it. They engage in arguments that don't matter. They waste time explaining themselves to people who don't care. They allow negativity to enter their minds and drain their focus. And by doing this, they lose control over their own lives. But here's something to think about. If you woke up every morning with a limited amount of money in your bank account, would you waste it on things that don't serve you? No. You would invest it wisely. You would protect it. You would make sure it grows. Your energy works the same way. Every morning you wake up with a limited amount of focus, motivation, and emotional strength. And every conversation, every reaction, every distraction takes a piece of that energy. The question is, are you spending it wisely? Why some people drain your energy, some people thrive on attention. They want to pull you into their drama. They want your reaction. They want your time because they have nothing meaningful in their own lives. And if you're not careful, these people will drain you without you even noticing. There are people who only call when they need something, people who only show up when they want gossip, people who get uncomfortable when they see you growing. These people will question your silence. They will try to pull you back into old patterns. But that's not your problem. It's human nature to crave connection, but not every connection is good for you. Some connections slow you down, some weaken you, some destroy your peace. And the moment you realize this, everything changes. How to protect your energy and stay unshaken. The most powerful thing you can do is become selective with your energy. Not everyone deserves a response. Not every situation needs your reaction. Not every opinion requires your attention. You have to train yourself to walk away, to stop explaining, to stop justifying, to stop trying to prove yourself to people who will never understand your path. Because when you do this, you take back your power. Here's how you do it. Set clear boundaries. If a conversation drains you, leave it. If a person disrespects your peace, remove them. You don't have to tolerate what doesn't serve you. Practice silence. The less you say, the more people wonder. The less you react, the more control you have. Power is in restraint, not in over-explaining. Stay focused on yourself. Every second spent on someone else's negativity is a second lost from your own progress. Keep your energy where it matters, on your growth, your goals, your peace. What happens when you stop wasting energy? When you stop wasting your energy on meaningless things, life rewards you. You gain mental clarity, you move with confidence, you stop feeling exhausted because your energy is no longer being drained by things that don't matter. And people feel it. They see your shift. The ones who used to control your emotions will notice that they no longer have power over you. The ones who expected you to react will be met with silence. And silence is louder than words. The greatest form of power is not proving yourself, it's not arguing, it's not seeking validation, it's focusing on yourself so deeply that nothing external can shake you. When you reach this level, everything changes. You no longer chase, but you attract. You no longer react, but you observe. You no longer explain, but you show through action. Emotional detachment is not about becoming cold. It's not about shutting people out or living without feeling. It's about mastering control over your own emotions so that nothing and no one can shake your peace. Most people suffer because they are too attached to opinions, to expectations, to outcomes, to people who do not value them. They let the smallest things ruin their mood. A negative comment, a delayed response, a missed opportunity. It all affects them deeply because they are too emotionally invested in things beyond their control. But here's the truth. The more attached you are, the more you suffer. The more you react, the weaker you become. The more you depend on external validation, the more you give away your power. And this is why so many people stay stuck. They are too connected to things that drain them instead of focusing on things that build them. Why detachment is the key to freedom. Detachment is not about not caring. It's about caring differently. It's about shifting your energy from things you cannot control to things that truly matter. It's about understanding that your peace is your responsibility, not something to be given away carelessly. Think about this. When you give someone the power to control your emotions, you hand them control over your life. When someone can make you angry with a few words, they own you. When someone's opinion can make you doubt yourself, they control you. But when you detach, when you stop giving away that power, you become unstoppable. Detachment allows you to stay calm in chaos. No matter what happens around you, you remain centered. Protect your energy. You no longer waste time on things that don't serve you. Make better decisions. When emotions don't cloud your judgment, you think clearly. This is why the strongest people in the world practice detachment. They don't react, they don't chase, they don't beg, they stay in control, always. How to develop emotional detachment. Detachment is a skill. It's something you build over time through discipline and awareness. And once you master it, life changes in ways you never imagined. Here's how you do it. Stop explaining yourself. The more you explain, the more people feel entitled to your energy. Let your actions speak. Let go of expectations. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will support you. And that's okay. You don't need permission to grow. Control your reactions. Every time you react emotionally, you give power to someone else. Learn to pause. Learn to breathe. Learn to respond, not react. Stay in your lane. Focus on your goals. Stop worrying about what others are doing. The more attention you give to your path, the faster you move forward. What happens when you detach? When you detach, something incredible happens. People start to notice your shift. The ones who used to control your emotions no longer have power over you. The ones who expected you to react are met with silence. The ones who doubted you are forced to watch you rise. And here's the best part. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop reacting, you start winning. When you stop seeking validation, you start feeling truly free. Detachment is not about running away from life. It's about living life on your own terms. It's about being so focused on your own peace, your own growth, your own success, that nothing external can disturb you. There is a reason the most powerful people in the world do not speak unless necessary. They understand that silence is not emptiness, it is control. It is a shield that protects your energy and a weapon that shifts the power in any situation. Most people talk too much. They feel the need to explain, to justify, to prove themselves to people who don't even care. They respond to every insult. They engage in arguments that drain them. They react emotionally to every situation. And by doing this, they give away their strength. But the moment you choose silence, everything changes. You no longer react to things that don't deserve your energy. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds. You let your actions speak so loudly that words become unnecessary. Silence is misunderstood. Weak people think silence means surrender. They assume that if you don't react, you have lost. But strong people know the truth. Silence is a strategy. It makes people wonder. It makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to deal with their own thoughts instead of distracting themselves with your reactions. Why you must stop explaining yourself. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not everyone needs to understand your choices. And most importantly, not everyone is capable of seeing your vision. When you constantly explain yourself, you are looking for approval. You are seeking validation. And the moment you seek validation, you give power to someone else. But here's the truth. Most people don't even care. They are too wrapped up in their own world to truly understand yours. So why waste your breath? You do not owe anyone an explanation for your goals. Your vision is yours alone. No one else needs to believe in it. Your growth, outgrowing people, habits, or environments is natural. You don't have to justify it. Your boundaries. If something drains you, you have the right to walk away. No explanation needed. When you stop explaining yourself, you take back your power. You move in silence. You make decisions without seeking permission. You become untouchable. How to use silence as a power move. Silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of discipline. It is a conscious choice to stay in control instead of reacting emotionally. And when you learn how to use it, you become unstoppable. Here's how to make silence your greatest weapon. Pause before reacting. When someone tries to trigger you, don't give them what they want. Breathe, stay calm, let them deal with their own emotions. Let people wonder. The less you say, the more they think. The more they think, the more they respect your presence. Observe more, speak less, pay attention to how people act, not just what they say. Words can lie, but actions always reveal the truth. Walk away from unnecessary conversations. Not everything needs a response. Not everyone deserves a reaction. Choose where to place your energy. What happens when you stay silent? When you embrace silence, something powerful happens. People start to notice your shift. They become curious about what you're thinking. They realize they no longer have access to your emotion. The ones who used to manipulate you with words will struggle because they can no longer control your reactions. The ones who used to drain your energy will feel powerless because you no longer feed their negativity. And most importantly, you will feel a deep sense of peace. You will no longer feel the need to prove yourself. You will stop over-explaining, over-apologizing, overthinking. Instead, you will move with confidence, knowing that your silence speaks volumes. Nothing confuses people more than your silence. Nothing disturbs them more than your decision to walk away without explanation. People expect a reaction. They want you to argue, to defend yourself, to fight for their approval. But the moment you choose silence and distance, you shift the power. Walking away is not weakness, it is strength. It means you value your peace more than someone else's chaos. It means you refuse to participate in battles that drain you. It means you understand your worth and will not stay where you are not valued. Most people stay too long in situations that hurt them. They beg for respect. They explain their boundaries. They give second chances, third chances, endless chances. And in doing so, they teach others that their time and energy are disposable. But when you walk away without a word, you send a message. You show that you are not desperate for anyone's validation. You prove that your self-respect is stronger than your attachment. And that is what makes people regret losing you. Why people struggle to let go. Letting go is hard, not because you need the person, but because of the emotional investment you've made. You hold on to memories. You hold on to what you thought things could be. You replay conversations in your head, trying to make sense of what went wrong. But here's what you need to understand. Holding on to the past only keeps you stuck. The more you dwell on what could have been, the more power you give away. And the more power you give away, the harder it becomes to move forward. The truth is, people show you who they are through their actions. And when someone disrespects you, ignores you, or takes you for granted, They have already made their choice. It's your turn to make yours. Will you keep holding on, hoping they will change, or will you walk away and choose yourself? How walking away shifts the power. Most people believe that confronting someone is the strongest move. They think explaining, debating, and proving a point will create change. But real power is in your ability to leave without a fight. Walking away protects your dignity. You don't beg for respect. You show it to yourself. Shocks those who took you for granted. When they realize you are truly gone, they start to see your value. Gives you emotional freedom. No longer tied to toxic cycles, you find peace. Reclaims your power. You shift your focus from them to yourself. People notice when you disappear. They feel the absence of your energy. They realize the value you brought to their life. And by the time they do, you've already moved on. How to walk away without looking back. Detachment is a process. It requires discipline. It requires the strength to put yourself first, even when emotions try to pull you back. Here's how to master it. Stop seeking closure. The closure you need is realizing that someone's actions were the answer all along. Remove all access. No texts, no calls, no social media stalking. The less you know, the easier it is to move forward. Redirect your focus. Pour your energy into growth, success, and self-improvement. Let your progress be your response. Remind yourself of your worth. When you truly value yourself, you don't settle for less than you deserve. Walking away is not about proving a point to them. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about choosing peace over drama. It's about choosing yourself over situations that no longer serve you. And when you do, life rewards you. New opportunities come, the right people enter, your mind becomes clearer, your energy becomes lighter. Silence is not emptiness. It is a statement, a powerful, undeniable presence that speaks louder than any words ever could. Most people misunderstand silence. They think it's weakness. They assume it means you have nothing to say, that you've given up, that you're defeated. But in reality, silence is a weapon, a shield, a form of control that shifts the energy in any situation. People expect reactions. They expect explanations, justifications, and emotional outbursts. But when you remain silent, you break the cycle. You deny them the satisfaction of controlling your emotions. You stop playing the game they set up for you. When you respond, when you argue, when you try to make someone understand your point of view, you give them power. You let them dictate your energy. But when you say nothing, you force them to sit with their own words and actions. And that silence, it's uncomfortable for them. It makes them question everything. Why? Silence holds so much power. There's a reason why the most confident, successful, and emotionally intelligent people in the world understand the value of silence. Because silence keeps people guessing. It makes them wonder what you're thinking. It creates an air of mystery that makes you unpredictable. When you stop explaining yourself, people don't know what to expect from you anymore. And when they don't know what to expect, they can no longer control you. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to reflect. It forces them to confront their own thoughts without your influence. And that's when the shift happens. They start questioning themselves. They replay past conversations trying to figure out what went wrong. They begin to feel the weight of their own actions. And suddenly, the power that once rested in their hands, it's now in yours. How silence protects your energy. The world is full of distractions, full of noise, full of people who want to pull you into their chaos, into their drama, into their negativity. But when you master silence, you protect yourself. Silence shields you from unnecessary conflict. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every argument deserves your attention. Silence saves you from regret. When emotions are high, words can be weapons, and once spoken, they can't be taken back. Silence gives you control over your emotions. You stop reacting. You start responding with intention. Silence forces people to respect you. When you don't explain yourself, people start respecting your boundaries. When you go silent, when you detach, when you stop seeking validation from others, you become untouchable. No one can manipulate you. No one can bait you into their negativity. The discipline of staying silent, silence requires discipline. It's not easy to hold back when you want to defend yourself. It's not easy to stay quiet when someone is provoking you, but when you do, you win. When someone disrespects you, let them. When someone underestimates you, let them. When someone spreads lies about you, let them. Let them think what they want. Let them say what they want. Your silence is your power. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The moment you stop reacting, you start winning. Because the people who truly know your worth, they don't need explanations. And the people who don't, they don't deserve one. Most people think they need to speak up to be heard. They believe that the louder they are, the more respect they will get. But true respect isn't demanded, it's commanded, and silence commands it more powerfully than words ever could. When you stop reacting, people start paying attention. They start wondering what's going on in your mind. They become aware of your presence in a way they never did before. They start to feel your energy, your confidence, your control. And that's when something changes. They begin to respect you, not because you forced them to, not because you demanded it, but because your silence made them reconsider how they treat you. Think about the most powerful people in any room. They don't rush to speak. They don't argue over small things. They observe, they listen, and when they do speak, every word carries weight. Why people struggle with silence? Most people fear silence because they can't control it. They use words as a way to fill the emptiness, to justify themselves, to seek validation. But that constant need to explain, to prove, to defend, it's a weakness. Silence, on the other hand, is strength. It shows that you are secure in yourself, that you don't need to explain, that you don't need to react. But society has conditioned people to believe that silence is awkward, that it's uncomfortable, that if you're not talking, something is wrong. This is why so many people struggle with it. They don't realize that silence is actually a tool, a weapon, a statement that cannot be misinterpreted. When you stay silent in situations where most people would explode, you show control. When you don't respond to provocation, you show discipline. When you choose not to waste energy on unnecessary conversations, you show intelligence. The power of saying nothing, people will test you. They will push your buttons. They will try to get a reaction out of you. And the moment you react, they win. But when you say nothing, when you don't engage, don't explain, don't justify, they lose control. Someone insults you, stay silent. Someone tries to make you feel small, stay silent. Someone spreads lies about you, stay silent. Not because you are weak, not because you don't have anything to say, but because your silence forces them to face their own words. It forces them to sit with their own insecurities. It forces them to see that their power over you doesn't exist. And that realization, it's more powerful than any argument you could ever win. How to use silence to your advantage. Silence isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about controlling the energy around you. In conversations, speak less. Let others fill the space. They will reveal more than they intend. In arguments, walk away. Nothing frustrates a toxic person more than being ignored. In relationships, stop explaining yourself. The right people will understand you without endless words. In life, keep your plans to yourself. Let your results do the talking. When you stop speaking unnecessarily, you create space for what truly matters. You start valuing your energy, your peace, your presence, and you stop wasting time on things that don't serve you. This is the discipline most people lack. The ability to stay quiet, the ability to detach, the ability to let people wonder instead of giving them answers. Silence separates you from the crowd. Most people are desperate for attention. They want to be seen, heard, validated. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop explaining, stop chasing, stop justifying, you become different. You become someone who doesn't need approval, someone who doesn't need... When you choose silence, something powerful happens inside you. You start to hear yourself. You start to understand what truly matters. You begin to separate what deserves your energy from what doesn't. Most people are afraid of silence because it forces them to face their thoughts. They use distractions, conversations, and noise to escape the uncomfortable truth about their lives. But when you embrace silence, you gain something most people never will: clarity. Clarity about who you are, clarity about where you're going, clarity about who deserves to be in your life and who doesn't. In silence, you start to realize how much energy you've been wasting on arguments that don't matter, on people who don't value you, on battles that aren't worth fighting. You see how much noise has been clouding your vision, keeping you stuck in cycles that don't serve you. Silence reveals who's really for you. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop trying to prove your worth, people's true colors appear. Some will disappear, some will get angry, some will try harder to pull you back into the noise. But the ones who matter, they will stay. They will respect your silence. They will understand it. They won't need constant validation, constant reassurance, constant explanations. This is how you separate real connections from temporary ones. This is how you identify who is in your life for the right reasons and who is only there because they benefit from your energy. The moment you stop feeding relationships with endless words, you see who still stands beside you. And that truth, it's liberating. The world moves differently for the silent. Silence is a sign of power. It's the mark of someone who doesn't need to prove themselves, someone who is confident enough to let their actions speak louder than their words. The loudest people in the room are often the weakest. They shout, they argue, they demand attention. But the most influential people, they observe, they listen, they wait. And when they do speak, their words hit harder. Because they don't speak out of impulse, they speak with intention. When you embrace silence, you start to move differently. You stop explaining your every decision. You stop defending your choices to people who don't understand your vision. You stop seeking approval. Instead, you focus. You work in silence. You grow in silence. You let success be your voice. The strength in walking away. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every argument deserves a response. Not every insult requires a comeback. When you learn to walk away instead of reacting, you gain control over your life. Someone tries to provoke you, stay silent. Someone spreads lies about you, stay silent. Someone disrespects you, stay silent and remove yourself. Silence doesn't mean acceptance. It doesn't mean weakness. It means you refuse to waste energy on things beneath you. It means you recognize that not everything deserves your response. Most people engage in every battle because they feel the need to prove themselves. But true power comes from knowing when to walk away, from knowing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on meaningless conflicts. How to master the power of silence. It's not easy to stay silent when you're used to defending yourself. It's not easy to walk away when you're used to proving a point. But here's how you start. Pause before you react. When someone triggers you, take a deep breath. Give yourself a moment before responding. Most of the time, you'll realize it's not worth it. Remove unnecessary words. Start speaking less. Cut out explanations that aren't needed. Watch how people's reactions change. Let actions replace words. Instead of telling people your plans, show them. Let your growth, your results, your discipline speak for you. Detach from external validation. The need to explain comes from seeking approval. Stop seeking it. Know your worth without needing others to confirm it. Embrace solitude. Spend time alone. Learn to be comfortable with your own thoughts. That's where true power is built. The less you say, the more people listen. The more you detach, the more control you gain. The quieter you become, the stronger you grow. Silence is not emptiness. It's not absence. It's a presence so powerful that it shifts everything around you. And when you master it, life moves differently. People treat you differently. People treat you differently. Opportunities come to you instead of you chasing them. Add permission. Someone who moves in silence, who grows in silence, who wins in silence. Energy is everything. It determines how you feel, how you think, and how you act. But too many people give their energy away carelessly. They spend it arguing, explaining, proving, and reacting to things that don't deserve their attention. When you choose silence, you protect your energy. You stop letting other people drain you with their negativity, their opinions, their need for drama. You take back control. Not everything needs a response. Not everything needs your input. Learning when to stay silent is one of the greatest skills you can develop, because when you hold your energy close, you become more powerful. Your energy is like a battery. Every time you react to negativity, you drain it. Every time you argue with someone who refuses to understand, you waste it. Every time you let someone's words control your emotions, you give them power over you. Silence keeps your energy intact. It forces people to deal with themselves instead of dragging you into their chaos. It makes them wonder, question, and respect you in ways that words never could. Silence makes you unpredictable. Most people are easy to read. You say something and they react. You push a button and they respond. They are controlled by their emotions, constantly showing the world exactly how to manipulate them. But when you stay silent, you become unpredictable. No one knows what you're thinking. No one knows what you'll do next. And that's power. People respect what they can't predict. They respect what they can't control. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, you force others to take you seriously. It's human psychology. People fear the unknown, and when you choose silence, you become an unknown force. Someone who is focused, disciplined, and not easily swayed by emotions. This is why some of the most powerful people in the world speak the least. They understand that silence creates presence. It creates mystery. It creates influence. Silence gives you time to think. The world is loud. People react too quickly. They speak without thinking. They let their emotions lead them into situations they later regret. But when you embrace silence, you give yourself a moment to think, a moment to process, a moment to choose your response instead of reacting out of impulse. Imagine how many conflicts could be avoided if people just paused before speaking. Imagine how much stronger relationships would be if people actually listened instead of just waiting to respond. Silence teaches patience. It teaches control. It forces you to slow down and choose your words wisely. And when you do speak, your words carry more weight. Because words spoken in haste are often weak. But words spoken with intention, those are powerful. The power of walking in silence. Have you ever noticed that the most successful people don't announce their every move? They don't talk about what they're going to do. They just do it. This is because they understand the power of walking in silence. When you move in silence, you remove distractions. You eliminate unnecessary opinions. You focus entirely on your goals without the noise of others influencing your direction. Not everyone needs to know what you're working on. Not everyone needs access to your plans. Because when you share too much, you invite resistance, doubt, and negativity into your path. Some people will pretend to support you, but secretly hope you fail. Some will discourage you because they're afraid of your potential. Others will try to steal your ideas before you even get a chance to execute them. This is why silence is so powerful. It keeps you protected, it keeps you focused, and when you finally achieve what you've been working on, your success will speak louder than any words ever could. How to use silence to change your life. Stop explaining yourself. You don't owe anyone a justification for your choices. If it makes sense to you, that's enough. Pause before you react. Don't let emotions control your responses. Give yourself a moment to think before you speak. Limit access to your plans. Move in silence. Work on your goals without seeking approval or validation. Detach from external noise. The opinions of others are just that, opinions. They don't define you. Let results speak for you. Instead of talking about what you're going to do, prove it with action. When you master silence, you master yourself. You gain control over your mind, your energy, and your future. Most people live in constant noise. They talk too much, they explain too much, and they let the world know their every move. But true strength comes from restraint, from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Silence is not just about what you don't say. It's about what you choose to focus on. It's about rising above distractions, cutting out unnecessary conversations, and keeping your mind free from the influence of other people's opinions. The average person feels the need to prove themselves, to explain their worth, to argue their point. But that's what keeps them stuck. They waste their energy trying to be understood instead of putting that energy into building themselves. The moment you stop engaging in meaningless conversations, you separate yourself from the average. You shift from seeking validation to owning your power. You begin to operate on a different level, where results matter more than words. And here's what happens when you do this. People start noticing. They start respecting you in ways they never did before. Not because you're loud, not because you demand attention, but because you carry yourself with an energy that speaks for itself. The less you speak, the more people listen. Think about the people who always talk, the ones who constantly share their thoughts, opinions, and ideas with no filter. How seriously do you take them? Now think about someone who rarely speaks, but when they do, their words carry weight. Their voice commands attention. Their silence makes people curious. This is the power of restraint. The less you speak, the more people listen. Because when you don't say much, every word you do say becomes valuable. This is why the most powerful people in the world are often the quietest. They understand that real influence comes not from how much you talk, but from how wisely you use your words. If you want people to take you seriously, stop explaining yourself all the time. Stop trying to convince people of your worth. Let your actions prove it. Because words without action are just noise. But silence combined with results is a statement. Silence protects you from manipulation. People who talk too much give away their weaknesses. They reveal their insecurities. They show the world exactly how to get into their minds and control their emotion. But when you stay silent, you become unpredictable. No one knows what you're thinking. No one knows how to manipulate you. No one knows how to shake your confidence. Silence protects you from people who want to use your words against you. It keeps you in control. It forces others to question, to wonder, to respect the fact that you don't reveal everything so easily. This is why silence is such a powerful psychological tool. It makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to deal with themselves instead of distracting themselves with your reactions. And when you refuse to engage in unnecessary drama, arguments, or mind games, you make it clear you are not someone who can be controlled. When you stop talking, you start observing. Most people miss what's happening around them because they're too busy talking. They don't notice people's true intentions. They don't see the red flags. They don't recognize the opportunities hiding in plain sight. But when you embrace silence, you start to observe. You start to pay attention. You start to see things that others don't. You notice the way people treat you when they think you're not paying attention. You hear what's being said in between the words. You see the truth behind the smiles, the lies behind the excuses, and the real meaning behind people's actions. Silence makes you smarter. It gives you an advantage. Because when you listen more than you speak, you gain knowledge that others overlook. And knowledge, that's power. How to use silence to strengthen yourself. Practice restraint. Not everything needs a response. Choose your words carefully and only speak when necessary. Observe more than you speak. Pay attention to people's actions, not just their words. Learn from what they don't say. Use silence as a test. Stay quiet in conversations and see how people react. It will reveal more about them than anything else. Protect your personal life. Keep your goals, your struggles, and your next moves to yourself. Let your results be your response. Embrace the power of mystery. The less people know about you, the more intrigued they become. Silence makes you memorable. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who understand when to stay silent. Most people spend their lives watching others, comparing, competing, and constantly worrying about what everyone else is doing. They waste their energy chasing approval, checking who's ahead, and wondering why they aren't where they want to be. But here's the truth. Your life changes the moment you stop watching and start working. The moment you stop chasing and start creating. The moment you stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on what truly matters, your own growth. When you focus on yourself, something incredible happens. You stop feeling lost. You stop feeling like life is slipping through your fingers. You start realizing that everything you need to succeed is already inside you. The problem is, most people don't believe that. They think success is something external, something that comes from being in the right place, knowing the right people, or getting lucky. But real success, it's built in silence. It's built in focus. It's built in those moments when no one is watching, but you're still putting in the work. That's the difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck. One group is constantly distracted, constantly comparing, constantly complaining. The other, they are locked in, they are focused. They don't waste time explaining themselves, they just do the work. The energy shift that changes everything. When you shift your energy from watching to doing, everything changes. You stop feeding your mind with useless distractions and you start feeding it with purpose. You stop letting people drain your energy and you start protecting your space. And most importantly, you stop waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for someone to recognize your worth, waiting for the perfect moment. Because deep down you realize something powerful. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. People who focus on themselves don't wait. They move, they take action. They put in the work before they feel ready, and that's why they succeed. They don't get caught up in negativity. They don't waste time worrying about who's watching. They understand that success isn't about impressing others, it's about improving themselves. And when you commit to that mindset, something incredible happens. People start noticing, not because you're telling them about your progress, but because they can feel your energy. They see the shift. They see the difference. The silent power of discipline. People love to talk about their goals. They love to announce their plans. They love to say what they're going to do. But here's the reality. Talking about it does nothing. The real power comes from the action you take in silence, from the early mornings when no one is watching, from the late nights when everyone else has given up, from the moments when it would be easier to quit, but you keep going. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It's built in the moments when you're alone, pushing yourself forward when no one is there to cheer you on. That's why people who stay silent and focus on themselves achieve more. They don't need external motivation. They don't need validation. They understand that success isn't about proving something to others. It's about proving something to themselves. Cut out the distractions, cut out the noise. If you want to change your life, start by cutting out the noise. Stop feeding your mind with distractions. Stop wasting time worrying about things that don't serve you. Stop scrolling through other people's lives and start building your own. Stop engaging in pointless arguments and start conserving your energy. Stop giving your attention to negativity and start pouring it into your goals. The more you focus on yourself, the more you realize how much time you've been wasting, how many opportunities you've let slip away because you were too distracted, how much energy you've given to things that never truly mattered. But the moment you shift, the moment you lock in and commit to yourself, that's when you become unstoppable. Because the truth is, life rewards those who focus. Success follows those who stay disciplined. Growth happens for those who choose to invest in themselves rather than seeking validation from the world. You don't need to prove anything. Most people live their lives trying to prove something to their friends, to their family, to strangers who don't even matter. But when you truly focus on yourself, you realize there's nothing to prove. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to justify your decisions. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Your progress will speak for itself. Your results will show the truth. And when that happens, people will start. The moment you stop explaining yourself to others, a new level of power enters your life. Because when you're always trying to justify your actions, prove your worth, or explain why you're making certain choices, you give away your energy. You allow other people's opinions to have control over your direction. But here's what happens when you stop explaining and start executing. You regain control. You stop seeking approval, and instead you move with quiet confidence. People who are truly focused don't waste time defending their decisions. They let their progress do the talking. The world is full of noise. People talking about what they're going to do, what they believe in, what they're planning next. But very few are actually doing the work. Very few are showing up daily with silent discipline. The ones who do, they don't need to talk about it. Their results speak louder than any words ever could. If you want to become the kind of person who turns dreams into reality, you need to master the art of silence. not just in your words, but in your actions. Move in a way that doesn't require explanation. Work in a way that naturally demands respect. Mastering your focus. Most people live their lives distracted. Their minds are scattered, their energy is drained by unimportant things, and their time is wasted on meaningless conversations. They wonder why they aren't making progress, but they don't realize that the answer is simple. They lack focus. Focus is the foundation of success. It's the ability to shut out everything that doesn't serve you and direct all your energy toward what truly matters. It's the discipline to ignore the noise, the patience to stay on your path, and the strength to keep moving even when no one is watching. The most successful people in the world have mastered this. They aren't scrolling mindlessly through social media, watching what others are doing. They aren't caught up in gossip, wasting energy on opinions that don't matter. They are locked in. And that's exactly what you need to do. Cut out the unnecessary distractions. Protect your mind. Guard your energy. When you do this, you'll notice something incredible. Your productivity will increase, your confidence will grow, and your progress will accelerate. Why most people stay stuck? The truth is, most people never reach their full potential because they are too afraid of what others will think. They fear judgment. They fear rejection. They fear standing alone, so instead of taking action, they hesitate. Instead of making bold moves, they seek permission. Instead of believing in themselves, they wait for validation. But here's the reality. If you want to build a life of greatness, you can't live in fear. You can't let the opinions of others dictate your choices. You have to be willing to stand alone. You have to be willing to trust yourself, even when no one else does. People will doubt you, people will question you, people will try to bring you back to their level because your growth makes them uncomfortable. But that's not your problem. Your responsibility is to keep going. Your responsibility is to prove to yourself, not to them, that you are capable of more. The ones who stay stuck are the ones who keep waiting. But the ones who rise, they are the ones who stop caring about what others think and start living for themselves. The power of moving in silence. There's a reason the most powerful people in the world don't announce their every move. They don't tell everyone what they're working on. They don't seek validation before making decisions. They move quietly. They build without distraction. Because they understand something most people don't. When you keep your plans to yourself, you protect your energy. You don't waste time explaining. You don't allow doubts to creep in, and you don't invite unnecessary opinions into your space. When you move in silence, people won't see you coming. They won't expect your growth. They won't anticipate your progress. And by the time they realize what you've built, it will already be too late to stop you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. It's the ability to stay committed without seeking attention. It's the power to focus on your journey without worrying about who's watching. Skiing you, there is an undeniable strength in detaching yourself from the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. The moment you stop living for external validation, you step into a level of freedom most people never experience. Because the truth is, the world conditions you to seek approval, to be liked, to fit in, to be accepted. But here's the reality. The more you chase approval, the more you lose yourself. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you refuse to let the outside world control your emotions, decisions, and sense of self-worth. It means you stand firm in who you are without needing permission to do so. Because when you are constantly looking for acceptance, you become a prisoner to other people's expectations. You silence your voice, you shrink yourself to fit in, and in doing so, you give away the most valuable thing you have, your power. The key to true inner peace is understanding that you do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to justify your choices. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone. The more you detach from the need for validation, the stronger you become. Protecting your energy. Your energy is your most valuable asset. Where you direct it determines the quality of your life. But most people give their energy away too easily, to pointless arguments, unnecessary drama, and distractions that add nothing to their growth. They let negative people drain them. They let toxic environments steal their focus. They waste their time defending themselves to those who will never understand them. But those who are truly successful, they guard their energy like their life depends on it. They are selective about who they allow into their space. They don't waste time trying to convince others of their worth. They don't argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They simply walk away and continue building. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every opinion thrown at you. Every time you engage in negativity, you are giving away a piece of yourself. Protect your energy. Use it to build, to grow, to move forward. Because when you stop wasting time on things that don't serve you, you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. Let your actions speak for you. Silence is powerful because it forces people to watch instead of listen. The strongest people in the world don't tell you what they're going to do. They show you. They don't seek validation. They don't beg for recognition. They move in silence, and when they finally reveal what they've built, it speaks louder than any words ever could. Most people talk more than they act. They announce their plans, they share their goals, they seek encouragement before they even take the first step. But words mean nothing without action. And when you are too busy talking, you are taking energy away from actually doing the work. The best way to prove yourself is to stop explaining and start executing. Let your success be the loudest thing in the room. Let your progress speak for itself. The less you say, the more people will pay attention to what you do. The strength in walking away. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every relationship is meant to last. And the moment you understand this, your life changes. Walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing when to remove yourself from situations that drain you, from people who don't appreciate you, from conversations that add no value to your life. The world teaches you to hold on, to fight, to explain, to prove yourself. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is leave in silence. When you stop reacting to everything, you regain control. You stop letting others dictate your emotions. You stop giving power to people who don't deserve it. You become untouchable, not because you don't feel, but because you choose where to place your energy. The strongest people are not those who fight every battle. They are the ones who know which battles are worth their time. They are the ones who walk away from negativity, from doubt, from anything that doesn't align with their vision. They don't beg to be understood. They don't argue to prove a point. They simply keep moving. How you do. When you learn to be silent, you take back your power. Most people feel the need to explain themselves, to respond to every criticism, to prove their worth. But true strength is found in restraint. The more you react, the more you give others control over you. The more you explain, the more you waste energy on people who will never understand. The most powerful people don't talk. They observe, they listen, they choose their words carefully, and when they do speak, it carries weight. Silence is not weakness, it is a strategy. It makes people wonder. It forces them to pay attention. It shifts the energy in your favor because you are no longer giving them what they expect, an emotional response. Instead, you remain composed, focused, and in control. The moment you stop reacting, you become untouchable. Detach from distractions. Distractions come in many forms. They can be people who drain your energy, situations that keep you stuck, or even your own thoughts that pull you away from your goals. The more you engage in unnecessary conversations, the further you drift from your purpose. Every time you focus on negativity, you lose time that could be used to build something meaningful. True detachment is about learning to let go of people, of opinions, of anything that doesn't contribute to your growth. When you no longer seek validation, you free yourself. When you stop explaining, you gain time. When you eliminate distractions, you create space for success. It's not about being cold or distant, it's about being intentional. You don't have unlimited energy, so stop wasting it on things that don't matter. Every second spent in negativity is a second lost in building the future you want. The power of unpredictability. Most people are predictable. They react the same way to criticism, they defend themselves when challenged, they argue when provoked. But those who master their emotions operate differently. They are unpredictable. They don't react when expected. They don't explain themselves when challenged. They don't argue when baited into conflict. This unpredictability makes them powerful. It keeps people guessing. It shifts the energy. It forces others to wonder what they're thinking, what their next move is, what they truly feel. And that uncertainty is a form of control. When you stop responding, you create mystery. When you stop explaining, you create intrigue. When you stop reacting, you make people uncomfortable because they no longer know how to manipulate you. That is real strength. The ability to stay calm, to stay composed, to stay silent when necessary. Let go of what you can't control. Not everything in life requires your involvement. Not every problem is yours to fix. Not every person is meant to understand you. The sooner you accept this, the more peace you will find. People will misunderstand you. Let them. People will judge you. Let them. People will doubt you. Let them. Your energy is too valuable to be spent on convincing others of your worth. Those who truly see you will never need an explanation, and those who don't see your value were never meant to. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the need to justify yourself. The more you detach, the more freedom you gain. Move in silence, build in private success doesn't require an announcement. It doesn't require approval. It doesn't require validation. The most successful people don't talk about what they're going to do. They do it. They work in silence. They build in private. And by the time people notice, it's already done. Too many people waste time announcing their plans, seeking encouragement before they've even taken the first step. But words mean nothing without action, and the more you talk, the less you do. True winners don't seek attention. They let their results speak for them. They stay focused. They stay disciplined. They don't get distracted by opinions, by doubts, by unnecessary noise. They simply keep moving, and when the time comes, their success is undeniable, not because they talked about it, but because they made it happen. It. They'll wonder how you changed. They'll be curious about the shift. The moment you choose silence over reaction, you step into a new level of power. Most people are controlled by their emotions. They lash out when insulted, defend themselves when challenged, and waste energy trying to prove something to people who don't matter. But true strength comes from restraint. It comes from the ability to walk away, to remain unmoved, to let go of the need to be understood. The greatest advantage in life is emotional control. When you refuse to let people push your buttons, you take back control. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your energy. And when you move in silence, you make people wonder. Silence makes others uncomfortable because they can't read you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know your next move. And that uncertainty gives you an edge. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of arguing, you plan. Instead of explaining, you take action. Let action speak louder than words. Words are easy. Anyone can make promises, talk about plans, or explain their vision. But real power comes from action. Too many people talk about what they're going to do, but never follow through. They waste time announcing instead of executing. The strongest individuals don't seek approval before taking action. They don't need external validation. They don't look for encouragement to move forward. They simply do the work in silence without distraction. And when their results start to show, there is no need for explanation. The moment you stop talking about your plans and start working on them, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your confidence grows, you start proving yourself through results, not words. And when that happens, the people who doubted you will have no choice but to take notice. Detachment, the secret to freedom. The more you care about what others think, the more power you give them. Every time you let someone's opinion affect you, you lose focus. Every time you try to prove yourself to someone who doubts you, you waste energy. But when you detach, you free yourself. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting things control you. It means you stop seeking approval. It means you stop reacting to negativity. You simply focus on what matters and let go of everything that doesn't. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to explain yourself to those who don't understand. You don't need to justify your choices to people who don't support you. When you detach, you become unshakable. You stop being controlled by emotions. You stop being manipulated by people. You stop being affected by things that are out of your control. And that kind of freedom is rare. The power of stillness and self-control. Most people act on impulse. They react out of anger, fear, or frustration. They let their emotions dictate their actions. But those who master stillness, who control their emotions, who think before they speak, those are the ones who hold true power. Stillness is not weakness. It is awareness. It is discipline. It is knowing that not every situation requires a response, not every argument needs to be won, and not every battle is worth fighting. When you learn to stay calm under pressure, to think before you act, to hold your ground without reacting emotionally, you gain control over yourself. And the moment you control yourself, you control everything around you. People expect reactions. They expect anger, frustration, desperation. But when you give them nothing, when you remain still, composed, focused, it throws them off. It makes them uneasy. It shifts the power dynamic in your favor. Build in silence, move with purpose. The most successful people don't talk about their moves. They don't announce every step. They don't look for approval. They just work. They stay focused. They let their results do the talking. Success is not about impressing others. It's not about being understood. It's about doing what needs to be done without distractions, without unnecessary noise, without seeking permission. The less you say, the more you can accomplish. The less you react, the more control you gain. The less you explain, the more powerful you become. Move in silence. Stay focused. Let go of anything that doesn't serve your growth and watch how everything changes. People who truly understand power don't seek it from the outside, they cultivate it from within. They don't need to prove themselves because they already know their worth. They don't need validation because their confidence comes from their own actions. And they don't seek revenge or attention because they are focused on their growth, not on reactions. When you reach this level of self-awareness, you become untouchable. Insults don't faze you, doubters don't distract you, and setbacks don't break you. You understand that power isn't about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. Self-mastery is the key to everything. The ability to control your emotions, to discipline your thoughts, and to stay focused on your goals despite external noise is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Most people waste their energy on temporary emotions, anger, frustration, resentment. But those who understand power redirect that energy into something greater. Why? Silence is your greatest weapon. Most people believe power is in words, but real power is in silence. The less you speak, the more people wonder. The less you explain, the more respect you command. When you refuse to react emotionally, you create a sense of mystery and control that others can't break. People expect reactions. They expect you to defend yourself, to argue, to fight back. But when you remain silent, you shift the balance of power. You show that their words don't affect you. You show that their opinions don't define you. And you show that your focus is far greater than their attempts to distract you. Silence forces people to reflect. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them question themselves. And most importantly, it puts you in control of the situation. When you learn to remain calm, when you choose to say nothing instead of reacting impulsively, you take away their ability to influence you. And that is the ultimate power. The energy shift that changes everything. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Where you place your attention is what grows. If you give energy to negativity, you will feel drained. If you give energy to people who don't support you, you will feel stuck. But the moment you shift your energy toward yourself, toward your goals, your mindset, your growth, you begin to rise. This is why detachment is so important. It's not about shutting down emotionally. It's about choosing where your energy goes. It's about understanding that not everything deserves your reaction, not everyone deserves your time, and not every situation needs your involvement. When you learn to pull your energy back, you become powerful. Instead of trying to convince people, you focus on building yourself. Instead of reacting to negativity, you focus on improvement. Instead of explaining your worth, you prove it through your results. The strongest people are those who understand that their energy is sacred. They don't waste it on things that don't serve them. They protect it, they nurture it, and they invest it only in things that align with their vision. How to remain unshakable in any situation life will test you. People will challenge you. Situations will push you to react. But your power is in your ability to remain unshaken, to stand firm in your values, to hold your ground without being swayed by emotions. Pause before reacting. Every reaction is a choice. The moment you pause, take a breath, and assess the situation, you regain control. Emotional reactions are impulsive, but calm responses are powerful. Detach from approval. The need for approval is a weakness. When you no longer seek validation, you become free. You don't need people to understand your choices. You don't need them to agree with you. You simply follow your own path with confidence. Let go of the past. Let go of the past. Regrets or past pain only weighs you down. The strongest people are those who release what no longer serves them and move forward with clarity. Speak less, observe more. Power isn't in speaking, it's in listening. The more you observe, the more you understand. The more you understand, the better you can navigate situations without unnecessary drama. Protect your energy. Not every argument deserves access to you. Not every argument deserves your time. Not every situation requires your input. Learn to say no. Learn to walk away. Learn to focus only on what helps you grow. The strength in moving forward without distractions. Most people remain stuck because they are too focused on what others think, say, or do. They waste energy trying to prove themselves. They get distracted by negativity. They react to every challenge, and in doing so, they lose sight of what truly matters. The moment you shift your focus entirely to yourself, everything changes. You start moving differently. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your purpose. You let go of the need to be liked, understood, or accepted. And when you do that, you gain a level of freedom and power that few people ever experience. True power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. It's about developing the kind of discipline that allows you to walk away from anything that no longer serves your growth. It's about choosing your peace over unnecessary battles. Most people react emotionally to everything around them. They allow external circumstances to dictate their mood, their confidence, and their decisions. But those who master detachment know that true control comes from within. They don't let situations define them. They don't let people's opinions shake them. And they don't waste energy on things that don't align with their purpose. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop attaching your emotions to things you cannot control. It means you recognize your power in every situation by choosing how you respond. And when you master that, you become unstoppable. Why emotional control determines your success. Success isn't just about talent, intelligence, or hard work. It's about emotional control. The ability to stay calm under pressure. The ability to remain focused despite distractions. The ability to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles come your way. Think about it. How many times have emotions caused people to make decisions they later regret? How often have anger, frustration, or fear led to choices that didn't serve them? The strongest people aren't the ones who never feel emotions. They're the ones who know how to manage them. They acknowledge their feelings, but they don't let those feelings dictate their actions. They choose logic over impulse. They choose patience over reaction. They choose progress over ego. Mastering emotional control doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means learning how to process them in a way that strengthens you instead of weakening you. It means taking a deep breath instead of lashing out. It means walking away instead of engaging in unnecessary drama. And it means focusing on what you can control instead of being consumed by what you can't. The power of walking away, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Walking away from arguments that drain your energy. Walking away from people who don't respect you. Walking away from situations that no longer align with your values. Most people stay in situations far longer than they should because they fear what will happen if they leave. They fear being alone. They fear uncertainty. They fear losing something familiar, even if it's toxic. But the truth is, the moment you have the courage to walk away from what no longer serves you, you create space for something better. Walking away isn't just about leaving a situation, it's about reclaiming your power. It's about showing that you value yourself enough not to settle. It's about proving that your energy is too valuable to waste on things that don't bring growth, peace, or fulfillment. And here's the secret. The moment you walk away from what drains you, you become lighter, you become freer, you become stronger. Because when you no longer tolerate what doesn't align with you, you attract what truly does. The strength of silence and observation. Not every situation requires a response. Not every battle is worth fighting. And not every opinion deserves your attention. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remain silent. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. It's the ability to observe instead of react. It's the ability to let people expose themselves without you saying a word. It's the ability to understand more by listening than by speaking. Most people talk too much. They explain too much. They defend themselves too much. But true power comes from knowing when to speak and when to let your actions do the talking. When you remain silent in situations where others expect a reaction, you shift the power dynamic. You force them to rethink. You maintain control of your energy, and you show that you are unshaken. Silence also allows you to gather information. The less you say, the more you observe. And the more you observe, the better decisions you make. Because power isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the smartest. Reclaiming your energy and protecting your peace. Everything in life is an exchange of energy. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you engage in, the thoughts you entertain. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself drained by things that don't deserve your attention. That's why protecting your energy is critical. You must be intentional about where your focus goes. You must be mindful of what you allow into your space. And you must be disciplined enough to remove yourself from anything that disrupts your peace. Stop explaining yourself. You don't need to justify your choices to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your actions will speak for themselves. Say no without guilt. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you are saying no to yourself. Honor your boundaries. Distance yourself from negativity. If a person, situation, or environment drains your energy, remove yourself from it. Protecting your peace is your responsibility. Focus on what you can control. Worrying about things outside of your control is wasted energy. Redirect that energy towards self-improvement. Keep your plans private. Not everyone needs to know what you're working on. Move in silence and let your success make the noise. When you master the art of detachment, emotional control, and self-discipline, you gain a level of power that most people will never understand. You become unshakable. You become untouchable. The ability to control your emotions, walk away from negativity, and protect your peace is only the beginning. To truly transform your life, you must master self-discipline. You must train your mind to stay focused on what truly matters. You must develop the mental strength to resist temptations, distractions, and impulses that pull you away from your purpose. Self-discipline is the foundation of every successful person. It's what separates those who achieve greatness from those who stay stuck in cycles of frustration. It's the power to keep going when motivation fades. It's the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Most people rely on feelings to take action. They work hard when they feel motivated. They stay committed when things are easy. But the moment challenges appear, they start looking for excuses. That's why they remain stuck, because they haven't trained themselves to push through discomfort. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward, no matter how you feel. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's saying no to distractions when they tempt you. It's staying focused on your goals even when you don't see immediate results. And when you develop that level of discipline, you gain control over your life in ways most people never will. Mastering your mindset to overcome doubt and fear. Your mind is your greatest asset or your biggest enemy. It can either push you forward or hold you back. And the difference lies in how you train it. Most people let fear and doubt dictate their decisions. They overthink. They hesitate. They let negative thoughts control them. And as a result, they never take the steps needed to reach their full potential. But here's the truth. Fear is just a feeling. Doubt is just a thought. Neither of them has power unless you give it to them. They hear doubt, but they don't listen to it. Instead, they take action despite those feelings. They push forward even when their mind tries to hold them back. Rewiring your mind starts with awareness. Pay attention to the thoughts you entertain. Are they empowering you or limiting you? Are they pushing you toward your goals or keeping you stuck? Every time a limiting belief appears, challenge it. Replace it with a stronger, more empowering thought. Your mind is like a muscle. The more you train it to focus on positivity, resilience, and confidence, the stronger it becomes. And once you master your mindset, you become unstoppable. Because when your mind is in control, nothing external can shake you. Developing a winner's mentality. Winners don't wait for things to happen, they make things happen. They don't complain about circumstances, they create opportunities. They don't let setbacks define them, they use them as fuel. A winner's mentality is built on 3 things: resilience, consistency, and a refusal to quit. Resilience. Life will test you. You will face challenges, setbacks, and moments where giving up seems like the easiest option. But winners don't break under pressure. They adjust, they adapt.